Vice is doing lots of really great documentaries, and they released the first part of a documentary that they did on Agafia Lykov, and she is a woman who was born and raised in Siberia. This is a really incredible story because back in the 1930s, her father, who was a fundamentalist Russian Orthodox, wanted to move from Russia. Well, he didn't move away from Russia, but he went from a main city in Russia to Siberia to hide away from the Soviets. He was afraid that they would take his religion away from him, and that was the one thing that he really held dear. So he moved his wife and his 2 children to Siberia, and they had 2 more kids. And keep in mind, I mean, not only are these harsh conditions, but they have to learn to live off that land.
That's crazy. Now, look, I can't blame him because he's running from Stalin. That proved to be not a bad idea because a lot of people who didn't run from Stalin wound up getting killed. At the same time, trying to live off the land for all this years. Gee, I wonder how they did, Anna. Was there maybe a documentary that followed up and found out?
Well, thankfully, Vice did an excellent documentary. Let's show you a little snippet.
Fearing oppression and death at the hands of Stalin, Agafia's father Karp fled with his family into the Cyan Mountains of Siberia in 1936. Agafia was born into this harsh wilderness in 1944. The Lykov family lived undisturbed for 40 years, building a life in an environment where the winter temperatures commonly dip to -30, the summer growing season is short, and bears and wolves roam in abundance. However, food was always scarce, and in 1961, Agafia's mother, Akolina, starved herself to death so that her children would have enough food to eat. The area they settled in is currently over 160 miles from the nearest town. In summer, it's possible to reach the Lykovs' cabin by a 7-day canoe trip. In winter, while we had heard rumors of a treacherous snowmobile route, it is virtually inaccessible by anything other than helicopter.
I have to say I've got 2 different reactions to that. One is, that is super badass. 2 is, that's among the top 3 things I would not ever want to do in my life.
Absolutely. I don't even like going to Big Bear because I can't handle the snow.
Talk about privilege.
I know, but that's exactly right. And that's what I love about the documentary so much. It made me reflect on my own life and the things that I take for granted on a regular basis. First of all, the number one thing that I thought about was religion and how religion will make people do crazy things. Right now, look, they believed in their religion so much and they feared having it taken away from them that they were willing to completely let go of any type of privilege they had. And there's something admirable about that, but there's also something very sad about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they went into that wilderness for absolutely no reason, because none of it is true. It's like, oh man, we've got to hide out to make sure that he doesn't take our belief in Thor away. Okay,
yeah.
But yeah.
So we're being a little unfair because we don't believe in religion. But that's what they believed in, and they were willing to sacrifice everything to make it happen.
I totally agree with you. I admire them for their courage, their bravery, their principled stand, etc. But no, I mean, I'm not being unfair. Every time I see religious people dress up their kids, their women, etc., in funny clothing, I think you're wasting your life. And I feel bad for the kids. You're wasting their lives. I wish I could reach out to them and say, don't do it. There's the God that you're going to spend your whole life obsessed about, like, oh, what does he think? It doesn't exist. Get out of Siberia. Go to a fun city. Go to Paris. Go the other way. Go the other way.
I mean, they were cut off from all human contact for 40 years until Soviet geologists discovered them. And some of the geologists helped them a little bit. One thing that they couldn't live without was salt. And so they were like, no, we're not going to take any help from you. We don't want any help. And then they offered them salt. The geologists did, and they're like, I don't like that salt. We'll take it. Right?
God, isn't that amazing?
It's so amazing.
The thing that you take most for granted, right?
Yes, and that's what I love about the documentary, because it made me realize that all the little things that I take for granted on a regular basis, I need to stop taking for granted, be thankful, because we do live a life of privilege, and we do, have certain opportunities and certain food, for instance, that we get to enjoy, and people like this don't get to enjoy it. And let me jump in with one other thing. I read the Smithsonian.com article on this because as soon as I saw the first part of that documentary, I was so fascinated by it, right? And the Smithsonian reports that one other thing that they were exposed to a little bit was television. And of course, they're very religious and they think that television is evil. They think that it's, you know, this instrument of the devil, but they couldn't help but watch it. So,
Of course!
so they're like, no, we hate that TV, but oh, what's going on over there with the Game of Thrones?
Yeah, they're like, what is this honey boo boo you speak of? And boy, you should have seen what they offered up once the geologist came in with pepper. They're like, oh, for pepper we can do more. Okay,
So
and by the way,
really
they didn't
interesting.
even know that World War II had happened.
I know, because they moved to Siberia a few years prior to World War II starting.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And you know what? The main thing that I would hate there, other than the fact that there's no salt, I put salt on everything, and that it's incredibly cold and that some of them starve to death. Other than that, is that you're cut off. And to me, of course, news is my bloodline. And it's not just because I do this show. I'm not sure they could have pulled off an internet talk show there. Okay, but it's because I care a lot about what's happening in the world. I think that's fascinating. And you're just sitting there with no news of anything, hunting the bears and the wolves, and they're hunting you. Man, that life sucks.
Their main source of entertainment was sitting around the room and like talking about the dreams that they had the night before.